So then I was talking to my friend over there, and he was saying that he actually wants to be a GM one day. Did you know that?
Yeah.
Like, it's a tough profession to get into.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not like. Well, like, I feel like I am in a better situation just because of my location of my college, but it's very tough to get like internships and stuff with NBA teams for GM spots.
Well, yeah, because you'll have to do like ticket sales and stuff.
Yeah, like, I don't know. That's like I'm looking into like marketing stuff, classes to take.
Are you having like a legit conversation right now, or is this your intro?
You messed it up.
I wasn't sure what you were doing.
But anyways, welcome to the podcast. No. You want to mess up my? I'm not doing that again. That was difficult.
That was funny. That was good.
Welcome back to the podcast. A little bit of a different podcast here. Not talking about. Well, kind of talking about NBA. Not like current events.
Yeah, it's just more of a general.
It's an interesting topic. How you been?
I'm fantastic. How are you?
I'm solid.
Not enough caffeine in the system, but there's never enough caffeine in the system. So today we have a groundbreaking question on how to make a great team.
I'm gonna need you to pick your energy. My energy's a little low right now. I'm gonna need you to pick your energy.
So we have the question today of how to make a great team. So what does it come with? The draft, free agency, and then if we even talk about college, does it come through the transfer portal or does it come through freshmen that you are building grassroots? But we're going to keep it in the NBA lane. From the start of this video, I'm going to ask you, what makes a great basketball team?
Well, that's an interesting question there, Jacob. I think, first of all, it needs to have a team that has one central idea and one central goal that they could bring themselves together within the organization. They need to have a very good culture, kind of like the Miami Heat.
Yeah.
And then with the team aspect, you have to fit what the coach does, correct?
Yeah.
You have to, so say it's like a Miami, you need defense, a lot of defense, and then spacing around Jimmy, and you need that. So those are the two big things. With me making a team, I like defense and I like spacing around stars.
Okay. But from this standpoint, I don't mean necessarily so you said...
I said the big thing that makes a great team is culture and coming around coming together around that, like how the Warriors are.
Yeah.
Like they came around around the central plan to win another championship.
Yes.
They brought the young guys in. They had a good culture.
So the way I took this was more so what have we seen that's like a common thread from the Spurs to the Lakers to all these we're gonna go we'll even go further back 80s the Celtics. Those they're the common thread I feel is that all these teams have a true identity. I guess that relates back to what you were saying, that one common thing. But all these great teams have an identity. They have a mission that they're locked in on, and that's more from the philosophical side, and that it takes just everybody buying into being a group, being there for each other, and all of that. And then from more of formulating, I think it starts with having the right doing things the right way with the right perspective. Because if you are going out there and you're not doing things the way that you should and the way that produces high level. Like, if you're not being a high level person, how do you expect everybody else to be high level people around you? Because that's the only way to be a great organization and a winning organization.
Mm-hmm.
So like, I think it starts with hiring a great coach that embodies something that you believe in, and then just putting the right guys in the situation to succeed. Because I took this more from I'm not even like thinking of teams today. I'm thinking like if every team was stripped to
I'm just saying.
just the front office.
I'm just saying, like, how teams did it. Like, I like what Miami does.
Yeah.
Right now, I like what the Lakers have done this offseason. Like, they're basically starting from nothing, even though, like, just
They
because
got
they
their
have star
stars.
players.
Yeah.
Like, so, like, I like what they're doing. Like, just allowing Darvin Ham to hire all of his coaches and not, like, force, hey, you should get this guy, you should get this guy.
This raises another question though. Like with that, how much do stars matter?
A lot. Well,
Ooh.
not so much a lot. You need, like, at least, like, you need one big star and another, like, one more guy that star could kind of depend on if you don't. Like, so they're not getting all of the, like, for Boston, like, you got Jason Tatum, but then you got Jaylen Brown to, like, you could even say vice versa from what happened in the finals, but, like, you got each of them to depend on each other.
Yeah.
But I'd rather have, like, since we're talking about the Lakers, I'd rather have the connectivity of the Celtics than the 3-4 stars on the Lakers.
All right. How about this? Would you rather be like the Lakers and hunt stars, or would you rather be like Boston and grassroot it?
Well, not so much. I'd rather be like Phoenix, where you get that core,
Grassroot.
and then you get those guys on
They
top
built-
just to put that, like,
Yeah.
icing on the top.
They built through the draft. Like their team was built through the draft and built
And
their
then they brought
guys that came
those
through, and
They
then
brought Jay and Chris Paul in, and
yeah.
they got it. So, like, that's what, like, I like building through the draft, but up to a certain point, like, once you get to, like, New York Knicks level, where you're in the lottery every year, you should probably fire your scout.
Yeah.
Like, if you're in the lottery, like, 6-7 times, like, so you're doing something wrong. Like, you need to do something different, go a different way. But, like, if you're getting good players each draft, you should only be there. Keep going. You should only be there like 4 times at the most. Like, you're starting from scratch, starting from a horrible team. You had to throw your last good team away, kind of type thing. You should only be there like 4 or 5 years. Get that star, get that like I don't know. Like, I'm probably making this seem like it sounds like I think it's too easy, but like you got to hit on one.
Yeah.
1 out of like 7.
Yeah. I think that, like, at the end of the day, like, it comes down to who you draft. So, like, even if it isn't a star, like, go back to Miami, for example, or even who you, like, just sign as an undrafted, like, Miami and, like, the Spurs and, Warriors, like, these guys weren't drafting at the top of the lottery. Like, they were drafting in the middle to the back end, and they've just been able to compile a ton of talent. Like, that's why I think that, like, when it comes down to formulating a great team, you have to rely on being able to develop guys and being able to find those diamonds in the rough and be able to see that little bit of potential and, like, ride on that.
That's another thing too. I feel like this is probably getting a little bit off topic, but if you don't like this draft, I really didn't like. Like, I liked Paulo and kind of Chet, but like I still have questions about Chet, and then Jaden Ivey I liked. But if you like can't get any of those guys, don't like I would not be afraid to trade back.
Yeah.
Like that's kind of getting off topic, but like
No, I think that this draft also showed how teams are valuing big wings. Like, I feel like everybody that is, if you're between 6'5" to 6'10", with a plus wingspan and you're a good athlete, you're gonna get like a really good chance of getting drafted, you know?
yeah.
Or getting just even a shot at the league. Because like everybody values those guys.
Mm-hmm.
That goes down to more of a personnel thing, but when you're making a great team, so like I feel a good current example is the Nets. About the way of genuinely chasing through free agency rather than building, because they basically gave up everything they built. I know D'Angelo Russell was part of a trade. They didn't draft D'Lo, but like having a D'Angelo Russell, Spencer Dinwiddie, Karis LeVert, Jared Allen, like they drafted very well, and they gave it all up for stars for the now. Like, do you think that would you do that, or would you ride it out? Because at the same time, think about it this way: that they went from a middle of the pack, like just fun, frisky team to they were favorites by Vegas. Like that's like
I wouldn't have done as much as they did. Like getting that third guy, I feel
just
like it was
yeah.
overkill.
I mean, just from like how like would you give up grassroots and who you drafted, who you developed for? Like
I would
star?
try. I if it was a good deal, yes, I wouldn't try to give up everybody. Like I would try to like. I kind of like how they did it until they traded for Harden. Just because, like, I mean, I don't know, but they probably felt like it wasn't enough, like, because they're Brooklyn. But like, not like keeping those core guys. I mean, obviously you had to get rid of Russell with Kyrie. But like keeping those shooters, keeping Jared Allen at the beginning. Like some of those guys that had that, they had Karis LeVert for a little while until they traded for Harden, right?
Karis LeVert was part of the Harden deal, yeah.
So yeah, like just because they had that identity already, it's very hard to switch from one identity to another identity in like 2 months. Just like in one off season.
Mm-hmm.
So like, I like bringing in those two big pieces in Kyrie and Kevin Durant, but at the expense of your entire identity, I don't like that.
Yeah.
Like you had to bring in older pieces that weren't like they wore names in this league, but now they're 37. Like you had to bring those type of guys in just to fill out your roster. And then you had to put a ton of like pressure on Bruce Brown. And, like,
yeah,
you're giving up your whole team for 3 guys. I don't like that. Now, if you can get 2 guys in free agency, you have the cap space, you have enough, you have a plan to. We'll trade D'Lo here just so Kyrie, and he's not mad, he's not getting his time, and then we'll get KD and Kyrie. I like that.
Yeah.
But whole team, too much.
I think that it's best to do it through the draft if you could. You'll have to add pieces, like as you were saying about the Suns. Like, I don't see how Brooklyn did things, and like even the Lakers. Like the Lakers traded everything for Anthony Davis, and it might bite them because like if the Lakers can't figure things out,
it worked out that way because they won a championship. But
yes, but I mean like you gave up everything for one ring, which I can understand.
I kind of like how they did it more than the Nets, just because they did that and then they built a really good identity. Like the Nets did this and then they had nothing to build an identity after that.
Yeah.
You see,
I mean,
like,
I'm
does that
talking
make
about
sense?
like They won the ring.
Okay.
Like I would, how they did that, but I mean like they continued to star chase rather than
After winning.
yes,
Yeah.
rather than like
Keeping
you
that
just won a
core together.
championship. Yeah, like do what you have to do. Now they're stuck like in a like that's what you were just saying about getting that third guy. The third guy could ruin everything, you
Mhm.
know. But
Yeah, that Russell Westbrook trade is kind of stupid.
But then there's also like from a star gathering standpoint, like I think Miami in when they traded for Shaq in '04, like they gave up a collection of young talent. Like at the time, you're looking at Lamar Odom, Caron Butler, and Brian Grant as like some young pieces that could like help winning.
Mhm.
You know, like Miami gave up a good bit at the time for Shaq, which turned into a ring, but at the same time, like adding Shaquille O'Neal to your grassroots foundation was awesome. Like I think that that's a good way to go about it, like in terms of star hunting and things like that.
If you
but
go out and get one guy, like that's good. Like, but when you're trading your entire team for 2 stars, like,
Yeah.
that's when, like, that's too much.
yeah. When you look, so you were saying the Suns were your favorite, like how they did it.
I like how Miami and I like how the Suns do it. I like how Milwaukee did it, but like that's kind of like once in a blue moon type thing. Like that's
That
good.
was all
that's,
them.
Yeah, that's like good scouting, but also like I guarantee Chris Middleton turned into way more than they expected. Like Giannis turned into way more than like that was a chance.
Yeah.
Like they're like that's like once in their every like
And then they made
10 years.
they bought in and they're like it's win now and they got
Yeah.
Drew. Like
Yeah.
it was
like they, I like how they did it in that aspect. Like you got yourself those pieces in the draft, and then you're like, yeah, we need this and this, and it wasn't stars. It was just very good, like big pieces, like a very very solid starting point guard that could play defense at a high level. Like that's like you went out, you found those type of guys, and you're like, here, we'll give you this for that. And you got that trade done. Like, and you didn't give up many players for that. You gave up what, one
picks.
player.
You gave up picks.
Yeah, like it's like
That's what
that's good. Like that's the best way to do it. Like either free agency, like Drew Holiday's in free agency, you take Drew Holiday, or you get that trade with picks. Like DeJounte Murray this offseason, they just want picks for him.
Yeah. I think Milwaukee did it very similar to that Miami trade, actually. Just like, but not giving up players.
Yeah, it was
like
just straight picks. Like you kept your core together.
Yeah.
Like, it wasn't someone that you had to go out and give up 4 players and 3 picks for. Like,
Yeah.
Harden.
yeah,
Like it's, and that's like if we're talking about Harden, that's why I feel like I thought the Sixers could have made it a lot farther this offseason or this postseason before that trade. Like I thought they were playing very good basketball without Harden.
yeah.
Like Seth Curry was a great second guy to Embiid. Obviously Embiid's injury was tough, but like.
Yeah.
That's cooler. Oh, if you paused it there? No, go back. Pause it there? That's pretty cool. It's a pretty cool background.
But that Philly thing's actually a cool, like, interesting thing to look at because, like, you had a really good team.
They had they had the best record, right? In the
No,
East?
no.
Oh, they were one in the East for like
They
a
were up
lot
there.
of the
They were
first
up.
part of the year.
No.
Oh, no, yeah,
up there,
Miami
though.
started really well.
They were up there,
Yeah.
but they weren't like Philly. Like that goes back to or at the end of the day, is it worth chasing the star? Because you're a team like Philly, you're a team like, and then you're a team like Milwaukee. Like Drew Holiday was a multi-time All-Star,
Uh-huh.
and you were able to bring him in and add to what you had, while Philly put a lot of their key role players and future
that
picks
was the issue.
in for Harden, and it resulted in a second round exit where you're disappointed because Joel Embiid was an MVP count. Like he could have won MVP. It was a coin toss. Like there was just a level to it that kind of that trade left some doors unopened, and we'll never know. Was that team good enough to contend for an Eastern Conference championship and possibly an NBA title? Like, in hypothetical, I think they could have. They had more spacing. The ball was moving. The Joel Embiid
Especially
was
with
able to do it
Maxey.
all.
Maxey
Yeah,
making that jump too.
and then like just being able to, they did that. Like, it wasn't, they didn't hunt. They picked up role players here and there. They didn't draft everyone, but drafting a guy like Maxey is huge. Like, they built that team. I know it was like the process, blah blah blah, but like, even without Ben Simmons, like, Ben Simmons wasn't playing and they were still phenomenal. Like, Tobias Harris, free agent, Seth Curry, free agent.
Trade.
I thought Seth was free.
It wasn't the Josh Richardson trade.
Oh yeah. Traded, like, they created a team around the greatness of Joel Embiid, where you'll have floor spacing, you'll have all of these things where you drafted that star, and we're gonna make it work around him, whatever we have to do. Like, that's just a completely different model too, where it's like, when you're breaking this down in terms of like how to build a team, is it first find your star in the draft or find your star in free agency, then just build around them? Or is it more collect as much talent as possible? Like, take the best guy available and have that, like Phoenix or even like Orlando right now. They're just trying to stockpile all this talent. They made the Vucevic trade and they just added Wendell Carter. They added high-level
Young guys.
talent that is young. So, like, in 4 or 5 years, you might look at that roster and it might be like, oh my God, they got like 8 guys that could be starters in this league. And then, like, a more current example that's blossomed a little bit is Denver. Denver just stockpiled talent. Now they're going to be the deepest team in the league next year, and they've only made one trade. Like, one trade for like a player, not a pick, swap, or whatever. Like, bringing in Aaron Gordon. Aaron Gordon was like Aaron.
Sorry.
He was an awesome addition to basically amplify what they already had going and create a defender and stuff like that. So, like, you see all these ways the teams are like being built, and now it turns to you. What would you do? I know you said Phoenix and Miami are like kind of what you would do, but like, if you like bare bones, give me like the coach and his philosophy. I don't mean like a name. I mean like philosophy. And then, like, if you would want to stockpile talent, build through the draft, add free agent all-stars, like, how would you go about it?
Just to go back quick, it's probably this a little while ago, but if that Harden trade was just like straight up Harden for Ben Simmons and like picks, it wouldn't have been as bad. Like, just giving up Seth Curry was a huge loss. Like, when I saw Seth Curry was in the trade, I was like, oof. But just wanted to put that out there.
Yeah.
So, starting with El Cocho, I would want a defensive-minded coach. Yeah, probably a defensive-minded coach, and then like hire assistants that like playing fast. Like, I would like to play fast and play it like kind of like Toronto, but like better in the half court. But like yeah.
You said like Toronto, but better than that.
Yeah. So defensive-minded coach, good in the half court, plays fast. That's what I like my team to be.
So to do
Or
everything.
Well, not so much everything. I'm trying to think. So I like Monty Williams in the half court, but he really doesn't play fast. I don't know if that's just because Chris Paul.
I think it's Chris Paul. It's more adapting to the players, I think, in my opinion.
I like myself a team that plays fast though. What else am I saying?
How do you want to build it?
Starting for the draft. Like I would bring in like some like vet guys. Like if you look at this offseason, I would try to bring in like Patty Mills, Thaddeus Young. I'm blanking. Some of those type guys. And then I would hope for like one like top 5 pick. Try to hit on that.
Yeah.
If I like it. Like go out next year and get Victor. Got my boy Victor. I would want a guard, like a point guard, and a center out of the draft. And then get wing guys in free agency or later on in the draft, like that type of stuff. I don't know if that answers the question.
Yeah, I guess it does kind of. If I was in the GM shoes, first I would get a coach kind of similar to what Josh was saying in terms of like you need to prioritize defense, and I think like for how the game is going and the direction the game is going, I think the ability to play a running gun style offense would benefit. Like you're playing fast pace, you're trying to get up like 8 seconds or less type of offense. And then in terms of how I would go about just bringing in talent, I think it would start like what Orlando's doing right now, what Denver did, like let's just stockpile. Let's get as much talent as we could in. I think that a huge part of how I would want the organization to be run is a true emphasis on development. Mm-hmm. Having a great developmental staff where you can bring in an undrafted guy and he can blossom into a starter. You can bring in a late first rounder and he could grow into like a top 5 player in the draft in 5 years. Like I think the ability to develop talent needs to be highly emphasized and touted within the organization. If I was a GM, like I think every day you have to go in, get 1% better, build on that. But to build a great team, I think you just need as much talent as possible, and then from there, you find the guys that fit the system, fit the culture, fit the identity, and then you could that like also stockpiling talent gives you the ability to make moves. It gives you the freedom to have a lot of pieces where, say, these 2 or 3 guys aren't happy here. Let's bring in a vet that could fit our system, or let's try to put a package together for a star that's just like a great fit for us. Like Miami Jimmy Butler. Mm-hmm. Like Jimmy Butler was a match made in heaven. Like that was just Miami going out there, making that sign and trade happen and bringing in somebody that
you got it. Keep going. I'm proud of you. Very good.
It's just having that, like, yes, you probably need to start a win. I think it's like a known fact that you're going to need somebody that's an all-star, that's all NBA caliber to win an NBA championship. But I think that if you have just a good, like, core talent base, I think that could set you up for a long-term success, which is ideal. It's not every team doesn't have the chance to do that, but the teams that do have been able to really prosper, really benefit, and really just grow overall, like long-term, like the Warriors. Like genuinely, like I feel the Warriors created a model where every team's trying to model after now. Like, let's try to draft all these guys. I don't care what pick we have. We're going to pick the best on the board, the guy that fits what we want to do, and let's go from there. So it's interesting, and I think that team building is also changing because I think that there's more of an emphasis now on the draft, on developing guys, on bringing in stars from draft picks rather than free agency or trades. Like I think that a lot of teams are more worried about having depth than they're worried about having 2 or 3 guys.
Yeah. because it's more about that role, those role guys that win championships. Like
Think about the last prior to like 2015. You got the big three in Miami,
Mhm.
where it was a ton of vets on as role players. Like Norris Cole was like the 5th best player on the team, or no, like he was like top 7 on the team. You know, Norris Cole, Mario Chalmers, like those guys that got booted from the league basically, but they were there because they brought what they needed. You go to those Boston teams, they had more depth, but it was like you go past their 6 and it's like it's tough to find a consistent thing. The Lakers teams with Kobe and Shaq, it was you had a mix of different guys. Like there was Horace Grant at some points. There was just Gary Payton ended up on there. Karl Malone, like the mumble and jumble of the role players on those teams, like, and then like it's changed so much, and now there's more cap space. There's more ability to add more talent.
Mhm.
So I think like also with time that's changed, but it's I think that also the perspective has shifted a ton because like everybody wanted their star. Everybody needed their star, and then it turned into, oh, let's try to get a big 2. Oh, let's try to get a big 3. And then now, I think with the Raptors winning,
That's what I was gonna say to you.
the Raptors winning that you can go.
I know what you're trying to say. You're just stumbling over the words. You're trying to say that, like, after KD's Warriors, the narrative kind of shifted to more draft-based teams, like the Raptors, the Bucks, this year's Warriors.
The Heat making the Eastern Conference Finals.
Yeah, like all the
twice.
teams that have been, like Suns been in the finals.
Denver, a lot of deep playoff runs.
Yeah. Why can't I think? The Celtics, draft based. Since that Warriors team, the past few championships have been more draft based, so I feel like teams are starting to go that way.
Even if you look at the Warriors, though, before KD, it was them. It was who they brought in, who they drafted. Like the only big free agent addition and trade addition and free agent was Andrew Bogut in trade, which was like a while ago, and then Andre Iguodala, free agent. Like those were the 2 moves. It was guys that were more. You're gonna play a role at a high level. Like that was pretty much what it was.
And KD ruined all that. But
Thank you for
also-
saving me. You know what I was saying.
yeah. They also what was I gonna say? You go. I can't think of it. I was gonna say something.
I'm like, I think that like covered everything though. Like just the shift is something that I think is huge.
Oh, I was thinking about this year's draft. Like there weren't as many trades as like there usually is.
No.
Like later on in the draft, there was a lot of trades, but
Not really. There wasn't much movement.
there was at one point like mid to late first round, there was like a trade every other pick.
Yeah.
It's not. It wasn't as much as it usually.
Yeah, it wasn't
Usually was, but like that just shows the shift in.
the value in
Teams,
drafting.
yeah.
Yeah.
But that's what I wanted to say.
But that covers it for me. It's a shorter one.
I was just thinking about, because when we're talking Warriors and how they built the team with the sign-in trades, I was thinking about DeAndre Ayton. And we get a solid sign-in trade with DeAndre Ayton. We got our pick next year, so we could suck next year. Who cares? We could be horrible. Get a nice draftee, maybe Victor. Victor want to hop on?
So you want to tank 1 year with
Yeah.
Chris Paul? You have Chris Paul.
That's whatever. We can trade for DeJounte Murray. That team'd be so good. Oh, we got enough picks. Let me make a trade very quick. Boom. Cool. Gotta put the Spurs in here, obviously. But that's gonna do it from us.
thank you guys for listening or watching. But this was more of a conversation one, so I hope you guys enjoyed. It's definitely interesting to take like a scope out and look at how like team building and like the just overall like philosophy behind like what teams want to do, how they're going about what they're doing, and just how it's shifting the league, changing what's going on, and just it's interesting. But make sure to check out the YouTube, check out the podcast that you're listening to now. We got previous episodes. Josh is over here making a trade for the Suns to get DeJounte Murray. But thank you guys for listening again. Stay tuned for more content, and we will catch you in the next one. Peace.